Alright, make sure you hit that notification bell, people. Ding, ding, ding.
Well, for the last hour or so, look at what I found in this tank. Those are Hydra, people. Well, ain't that a bear? This tank has not had any new fish in here over a year, any new plants in over a year, and Hydra's present. Look at them. Oh my googly moogly, man. Okay, well, I know about Hydra. It's not planaria, that's for sure. Oh my googly moogly. But me doing my due diligence, people, here is what I learned tonight. Somebody said, and now keep in mind, in the last week and a half, I have been feeding these guys brine shrimp out the yin yang, and they said that brine shrimp will bring them out. So I don't need them stinging my fish to death. It's ridiculous. So they recommended, before I use chemical treatments, which I'm gonna start tomorrow. I'm not sure what chemical yet, and I'll let you know. But that you starve them to death. And how you do that is just don't feed the fish. Well, that's a bit cruel. Well, don't feed them brine shrimp. So anyway, I'm going to do more research on this. You know, when I did my video a long time ago, man, you know, about how to prevent Hydra, they were always introduced. That is not the freaking case in here. You all have seen this tank a million freaking times. Okay? There has never, ever been bugs in here. And they could not have been introduced. I don't use a net in here from any other tank. This plant's been in here. What was that? Java moss? Not Java moss. Guppy grass. It's been in here at least 6, 7, 8 months. These fish have been in here a year. The only thing I do is rinse out that sponge, but it goes, whoops, in its own water. I rinse it out, use a pond pump, drain it, and then drain fresh water back in from over there, which comes out of the tap. That's the only thing that has been in this tank in over a year. Tux, I don't need your help. You're a good boy. But googly moogly, I cannot believe this, people. Yeah, I've been trying to get these fish to raise from scratch for over a year. You all know that if you've been following my channel. Kind of weird they're all on one side. But I read something about live brine shrimp feeding. They'll kind of come alive. Alright, let me do more research on this. So apparently there's some things I do not know, and I don't want them stinging to death my babies. You know, it did say manual removal. Well, it's a lot more than I can manually remove. What the hell? Alright, get back with y'all here next round. Later. Alright, what I did do was I took one of these, you know, little spongy thingies that you clean the glass up with. No, don't, or tucks. And I smashed every one I could find. So I get rid of a decent amount. I gotta clean the glass. I mean, there's some water on the outside. But what in the world, people? And there might be some on the backside of the glass. You know, I don't know where all these things are. I smashed them. Maybe the fish will eat them. And maybe I need to lay off the live brine shrimp in this freaking tank for a while. I don't know. Alright. Now again. Oh, if I ever get these guys breeding, they'll be on sale. I know y'all love these guys. They're very, very unique. Very unique. Yeah. You won't ever see these guys hardly. So, we figure out what's going on, and I don't know. I don't know if it's a dog dewormer or carbendazole or what are they? Alright, later. Alright, people, here we go, man. Hydra in a fish tank. Are we concerned? Well, I got a little freaked out earlier. I did a bunch of research. Maybe, maybe not. How did they get here? How do they thrive? And are they dangerous? Alright, let's head down that list. If any of y'all, I mean, my biggest watched video ever was Parasites in Tanks. Look that up if you want to learn some things. Maybe I didn't know as much about Hydra back then. I thought they were a bigger deal than what they were, maybe. But I'll have to do an update on that soon. So anyway, Hydra in a fish tank. There's a good example of what they look like. Basically, a little thingy with a bunch of tentacles, alright? Alright, what are they? They're distant relatives of jellyfish, corals, and sea anemones. Alright, no big deal. How? Now, some of this I got from Aquarium Co-op, some of it I got from other sources. They often lay dormant for up to a year. Maybe not that long, but roughly. And according to Corey, it seemed to come out in feeding live brine shrimp heavily. Well, guess what I've been doing lately, people? Live brine shrimp heavily. I mean, I've been going to live brine shrimp and brine shrimp, hardcore for the last week or two. I think I've done a few videos on it. And that's what I've been doing. So they must have always been in the tank, but dormant. And what do you mean, Scott? Well, it's very simple, people. How many of y'all have had a planaria outbreak when you've never changed your tank or never added anything to it? No fish, no plants, no whatever. And then all of a sudden you get a planaria outbreak. Well, same thing with the hydras. Man, there is so many critters that are in your tank that are quote unquote dormant or larval, or they just stay in the substrate until you overfeed. Same thing as ram's horns or snails, pond snails, or MTSs, Malaysian trumpet snails. Man, if you start overfeeding, you're going to have an overabundance of these critters. You stop feeding, then they die off. Or, well, don't exactly die off. They diminish to where you don't see them. So, that's apparently what I've done is I've triggered when I didn't know I had these hydras. Apparently, I've triggered them. They're not bad for the most part, at least for fish. They are kind of bad for shrimp, shrimplets. They can be bad for very small fry, and more towards uh, sea shrimp and those type of things. You know, a live baby brine shrimp, seed shrimp. Things are they're kind of microscopic, but the treatment, and there are other treatments, obviously. Just starve them. They were an issue before. You just feed less. All right.
So just like planaria and others, they can live in a tank and never be a problem unless you overfeed. And another source, if you're overfeeding, um, you can kind of read that part. This guy, they can claim every surface there is. And if you kind of stop feeding the baby brine shrimp, it takes a week or so for the hydra to wither away. Now, and this was kind of a top resource I looked at. Wither away and dying is two different things. That just means you won't see them anymore. Okay, they're just gonna kind of go in there. Um, One of the last parts here, hydrogen peroxide. That's great for blue-green algae and some other dealios, and we'll just keep hydra on here while we're talking about it. Um, what you have to have is a good syringe, needle, and you have to, direct it right on them, if you will. Right on the side of the glass where they're at, just like you would do with blue-green algae. You really don't want fry and other inhabitants, snails and other things to get in contact with it. Um, it's a pretty quick method, but look up videos on that. I'm not telling you don't dump your freaking bottle of hydrogen peroxide in your water, people. You'll kill pretty much damn near everything in there, probably. Um, it's 3%, I believe, and you might even have to dilute it some. Um, and it's going to kill off certain things. It might kill off snails that are in that area, blah, blah, blah. I'm not advocating this whatsoever. Look it up if you need to. Hydrogen peroxide and blue-green algae, or hydrogen peroxide pest in tanks. You know, blah, blah, blah. You did not hear it from me. I'm just saying this is how some people do it. And guppies, the adult guppies, um, normally they'll keep them in control. I don't believe Hydra affects them. I mean, maybe the fry, the very, very firstborn fry for a couple of days, maybe. Guppies, they'll pick them off, just like I believe mollies will pick them off, and some others. And again, don't ever buy a fish to control something that you can control before. Because the problem is, um, when people say, "Well, you've got too many guppies in a cold tank," put an Oscar in there. Well, now after the Oscar eats all the fish, what are you going to feed him? And now he's polluted the water big time because he's constantly pooping and peeing. Um, well, get you assassin snail to kill all the snails. Well, fine. Again, he's polluted the water and everything, but what in the hell are you going to feed the assassin snail after he kills everything in the tank? Think about these things, people. Don't introduce a problem that you don't need. Fix the problem that you can control. Okay? Almost everything in the fish tank is controllable. Alright? Almost everything. Yeah, whether it's green water, whether it's too much of this, too much of that. Oops. Oops. Ah, well, there we go. Alright, anyway, I'm going to go ahead and cut this off. And you saw the prior video, so that'll give you an idea. Do your research. Planaria and this other stuff, it's not an end all be all. Later.